Chapter 1259. Because of the big benefit Lu Jingli had just revealed, the atmosphere became even more heated. Although everyone knew that Su Yimo was most likely going to be President Lu's dance partner, the women inevitably held onto a glimmer of hope. What if she was really chosen randomly? In a secluded corner, Jiang Mai's agent, Lei Ming, was anxiously making a phone call. "My little ancestor, the general manager is here and President Lu is also on his way. Why aren't you here yet?" Jiang Mai's irritating voice came from the other end of the phone. "Who said I was coming?" Lei Ming was furious. "It's such a big day and you're not coming? What on earth are you doing? Is there something urgent?" "Jiang Mai, I'm playing games." Lei Ming. "Ma, I'm begging you, okay? Even if you just show your face and leave, it's fine. It'll only take up an hour of your gaming time." "I said I'm not going." Jiang Mai hung up impatiently. He wasn't going. If he did, he would definitely be abused. After Lu Jingli's speech, Liang Bichin's eyes were full of stars. She excitedly held Su Yimo's arm. "Cousin, I didn't expect President Lu to be so romantic." Zhao Anxin, who was next to her, was also full of pride. She looked at Lin Jiji mockingly. As long as Su Yimo was there, she would always be the #1 agent in Xingshi Entertainment. No matter how good Lin Jiji was, it was useless. Su Yimo looked at the door with longing in her eyes and murmured, "It's just a random draw. Who knows who it will be?" Zhao Anxin smiled. "Yimo, everything tonight was carefully prepared by President Lu for you. How could it be anyone else but you?" Su Yimo nervously looked at her makeup and dress. "Sister XN, is this okay? Is there anything wrong?" No. You're so beautiful. President Lu will definitely fall for you. Boss Lu has done so much for you. This kind of friendship is very valuable." Then the celebration continued in a warm atmosphere. However, everyone's attention was gradually drawn to the person who was about to arrive at the door. As time passed, Lu Tingxiao still didn't appear. Many people couldn't help but whisper, "Why isn't he here yet? Don't tell me he's not coming? After all, Boss Lu is so busy. I heard that he just came back from a business trip abroad today and rushed here directly after getting off the plane. Boss Lu places so much importance on tonight's celebration? It's someone you value." As they waited anxiously, their deputy general manager Yi Sudong received a call. "What? Here it comes. Good. I got it." Yi Sudong hung up the phone with a red face, and then trotted to the door, followed by the shareholders and senior executives of Xingshi Entertainment. Outside the door, a low-profile black Maybach quietly stopped. Led by Yi Sudong, the company's executives lined up neatly in 2 rows and waited outside the car door. The driver got out of the car and opened the back door. Then a straight and slender leg came out of the car. The man was wearing a meticulous black suit, and there was no expression on his face. His whole body was emitting a huge pressure that belonged to a superior person. The man's face was extremely handsome, like God's most meticulously sculpted work of art. However, because the man's aura was too strong, it made people ignore his appearance. Yi Sudong walked forward in fear and trepidation. President Lu, you're finally here. Please come in." Chapter 1260. He's here. President Lu is here. It's true. It really is President Lu. Oh, he's so handsome. Oh my God, someone help me up. The woman that President Lu likes must have saved the world in her past life. Lu Tingxiao appeared amidst the excited screams of the women, who almost fainted. Su Yimo's heart pounded and her blood boiled as she watched the man walk over, surrounded by the higher-ups. The man who was so dazzling that he seemed to be the center of the world's attention as soon as he appeared. In the end, Liang Bichin reminded her. "President Lu is here. Cousin, what are you waiting for? Hurry up and go." Zhao Anxin also gave her an encouraging look. "Yimo, go." All of a sudden, the women's envious and jealous gazes almost burned through Su Yimo's body. Su Yimo was in a daze. She could almost imagine herself walking towards him, being held by the man, and walking towards the crowd with him. Finally, she took a deep breath and took elegant and noble steps. Under everyone's envious gazes, step by step, she walked towards the man's direction. Lu Tingxiao was walking in the same direction as Su Yimo. He walked forward coldly, but someone suddenly blocked his way. He subconsciously stopped and looked down at the woman in front of him. Other than Lu Jingli, the higher-ups around Lu Tingxiao all had mocking expressions on their faces. "President Lu, you've made our beauty Su wait for a long time tonight." Su Yimo acted like a goddess, but her face was full of shyness. She looked up nervously at the godlike man and shyly called his name. Tingxiao. She had called his name thousands of times in her dreams, and now she finally had the chance to call his name. However, Lu Tingxiao's cold expression became even colder. He looked at the woman as if she was a tiny ant. "Who are you?" In an instant, the entire place was silent. Whether it was the artists, employees, investors, or the media, none of them expected Lu Tingxiao to react like this. This was completely different from what they had imagined. Su Yimo imagined that her hand would be gently held in the next second, but she didn't expect to receive these 3 words. Her face instantly turned pale and she froze there. What's going on? Did Tingxiao not want to make it public? So why did he come here today and do all of this? Lu Jingli rubbed his nose and clicked his tongue inwardly. His brother was indeed ruthless. 2 words, instant kill. Before anyone could react, Lu Tingxiao had already walked past Su Yimo and continued walking forward expressionlessly. After Lu Tingxiao signed his name on the signature wall, the stunned media finally reacted and rushed over to surround Lu Tingxiao. For the first time, a reporter from the entertainment newspaper took the lead. "Boss Lu, you just said that you don't know Miss Su?" "Lu Tingxiao, should I know her?" A reporter from Next magazine. Don't you know about the scandal between you and Miss Su?" Lu Tingxiao, "Scandal?" A reporter from Southern newspaper. "I heard that you have unwavering feelings for Miss Su and have been silently supporting her for so many years." A reporter from the entertainment newspaper. "Weren't you going to announce your relationship at the anniversary celebration today?" A reporter from the Sun Daily. "There have always been rumors that Miss Su is your girlfriend." Faced with the reporter's excited questions, Lu Tingxiao's cold gaze swept across everyone and he said unhurriedly, "Is my taste that bad?" Chapter 1261. Is my taste that bad? As soon as he said that, even Lu Jingli, who was watching the show as a bystander, felt his heart ache, not to mention how Su Yimo, the person involved, would feel when she heard this. His brother was simply too cruel to women other than Cici. Su Yimo stood there in a daze, looking like she had been shocked silly. Liang Biqin and Zhao Anxin, who were next to her, were also dumbfounded. Of course, the executives and business partners behind Lu Tingxiao didn't look any better. The scene was dead silent for a long time. After a while, there was a sudden burst of excited discussion. In Shengshe Entertainment, the employees and artists who had been oppressed had long been dissatisfied with Su Yimo. At this moment, they couldn't hold it in any longer and started discussing while staring at their boss. "Oh my God! This is the biggest show of the year. Our big boss doesn't even know Su Yimo. He doesn't even know who she is. That's not all. Didn't you hear what our boss said? He doesn't like someone like Su Yimo at all. Oh, can I say that our boss was so handsome just now? Did you see Su Yimo's disillusioned expression? It was Su Yimo's wishful thinking from the beginning to the end. I knew our big boss wouldn't have bad foresight. He hasn't been close to women for so many years. How could he fall for someone like Su Yimo as soon as he started eating? I don't know what kind of goddess our boss likes. I thought something wasn't right. Now, as expected, I think Su Yimo is delusional. She made up a melodramatic drama about a domineering CEO falling in love with her, but he doesn't even know who she is. How could someone like our boss know who she is? She's just a little famous in the entertainment industry, but she really thinks she's an unattainable goddess." The 2 people who spoke were both A-listers. Although they couldn't compare to the retired international award-winning actress Ling Manyun, how could they not feel aggrieved being suppressed by someone as disgusting as Su Yimo, who constantly brought up her so-called backstage? There were many artists like them in Shengshe Entertainment, and now that they saw Su Yimo's backstage collapse, they were all elated. As for the media at the scene, most of them were here for tonight's big news. They didn't expect it to be big news. Just because of a few words from Lu Tingxiao, the guests were in an uproar and the media went crazy. Lu Jingli held his forehead as he watched the situation unfold in front of him. "Dear brother, I asked you to come here to support me, okay?" But in the end, not even a minute after he arrived, he didn't say anything and directly supported the old woman. There was no one else like him. Hey brother, she's an artist of Shengshe Entertainment, can you give me some face?" Lu Jingli ran over to smooth things over. It seemed like he was trying to smooth things over, but in reality, it made the relationship between Su Yimo and Lu Tingxiao even clearer. He hinted that all the benefits Lu Corporation gave Su Yimo were for Lu Jingli's sake. After all, Shengshe Entertainment was Lu Jingli's first company, but Su Yimo actually thought that Lu Tingxiao liked her. What a joke. Chapter 1262. In the corner, Xiao Tao's face was flushed with excitement. She looked like she wanted to kneel down in front of her boss. Ah, brother did you hear that? Our boss is so handsome. This time, Su Yimo's face has been thrown into the Pacific Ocean. Let's see how she's going to swindle people with her fake identity as the lady boss of Lu Enterprises. Lin Jiji obviously didn't expect things to turn out this way. Her heart was going up and down like it was riding a roller coaster. Everything was a misunderstanding. Lu Tingxiao didn't even know Su Yimo? Lu Enterprises gave Su Yimo all the benefits just because she was an artist from Shengshe Entertainment? But there were so many potential stars in Shengshe Entertainment. Why did they choose Su Yimo, who wasn't popular at the time, and give her so many resources? I think Su Yimo was chosen to be heavily promoted purely because she was lucky. The company just randomly pushed someone out. Who knew she'd be so full of herself that she thought Lu Tingxiao had a crush on her? What the hell? That's ridiculous. Boss didn't look very happy just now. Su Yimo is finally going to be unlucky. Xiao Tao chattered excitedly. Seeing Ningxi sitting there quietly and not saying a word, Xiao Tao curiously leaned over and asked, Brother I find that you have been very calm since the beginning. You didn't react at all when you were banned. Did you foresee this result long ago? Ningxi's eyes fell on the man surrounded by reporters. He glanced at Xiao Tao and chuckled. Because I firmly believe that boss's taste is not that bad. Xiao Tao, She really couldn't refute this reason. Xiao Tao saw that Ningxi was staring at her boss without blinking. Her gaze was so focused that she had never seen it before. It was so focused that she had an illusion of sweetness and affection. Xiao Tao shook her head violently and waved away the random thoughts in her mind. Her boss was so handsome, it was normal for girls to have such an expression when they saw him. Oh. Since the boss has nothing to do with Su Yimo, does that mean we can compete fairly for the benefits that second young master mentioned? A female artist in the crowd exclaimed in surprise. I'm so excited. I can dance with the boss. God bless me, I hope the boss will pick me. At that moment, Su Yimo was still rooted to the spot. In the end, Zhao Anxin and Liang Biqin pulled her to a corner. Su Yimo felt the world spinning as she looked at the unreachable man and the mocking gazes around her. This isn't real. This isn't real. He clearly loves me. He clearly loves me. He clearly loves me so much. Su Yimo was in a daze as she kept muttering. She had concocted this dream of love for so long that she had completely tricked herself into it. In fact, from the very beginning, she felt that all of this was too unreasonable. However, the little suspicions and greedy thoughts that were originally like flames grew in her heart bit by bit. Coupled with the huge benefits and vanity that the rumors about her and Lu Tingxiao brought her, it was like opium that bewitched her deeper and deeper. Until today, when this dream was suddenly smashed by a heavy hammer and ruthlessly torn apart in front of everyone. Chapter 1263. She regretted it, she regretted it. Why hadn't she been more careful? If she had been a little more rational, if she hadn't been so greedy, she could have continued to enjoy the glory of being Lu Tingxiao's woman and sat on the throne of Lu Corporation's future lady boss. But now, it was too late. Everything was over. Zhao Anxin was so regretful that her intestines were turning green. She thought that with Su Yimo's beauty, even if Lu Tingxiao didn't have any feelings for her, Su Yimo was still the nation's goddess. No matter what, Lu Tingxiao wouldn't embarrass her in front of everyone. As long as he was a little more tactful, they could continue to hype up the scandal. Wasn't that what they had been doing all this time? Anyway, Lu Tingxiao wouldn't pay attention to entertainment gossip, nor would he purposely clarify anything. But how could she have known that Lu Tingxiao would be so ruthless? He didn't leave them any leeway. Just one sentence of "Who are you?" was enough to shatter their plans, and the last sentence he said to the reporters was enough to send them to the depths of hell. What was even more frightening was President Lu's attitude. He was probably angry. Zhao Anxin couldn't figure out what went wrong. How did things turn out this way tonight? Alright, friends from the media, just as my brother said, what you're talking about is just a misunderstanding. I hope everyone won't believe it again in the future, let alone spread such rumors. After all, my brother is already taken, and he has always been very loving and sweet with his girlfriend. If my sister-in-law misunderstands, I'm afraid she'll have to kneel on the washboard. Lu Jingli teased. However, Lu Jingli's joke caused a huge uproar at the scene. The media never thought that explosive news would come one after another. Lu Jingli was suddenly faced with hundreds of reporters' microphones. What? Second young master, do you mean that President Lu already has a girlfriend? Who's President Lu's girlfriend? Or someone from the entertainment industry? Second young master, is what you said true? Second young master, can you reveal more? Second young master. Lu Jingli smiled and said, forgive me for not revealing too much about my future sister-in-law's identity, but I can tell you that they have been dating for almost a year, and their relationship is very stable. I'm about to vomit from their public display of affection. The media did not expect to find out the woman's identity, so they could only start from other aspects. Their microphones all turned to Lu Tingxiao. Boss Lu, is what second young master said true? I wonder when Boss Lu and his girlfriend plan to get married? Boss Lu has such high standards. Your girlfriend must be very beautiful. After supporting his wife, Lu Tingxiao didn't plan on saying anything. He was probably in a good mood, so he answered a few questions from the reporters. It's true. Look at her. Beautiful. Everyone, this answer was really simple and clear. The first question, what Lu Jingli said was true. It turned out that the rumors were true. Lu Tingxiao already had a girlfriend, but that person wasn't Su Yimo, who used his name to swindle people. No wonder President Lu made such a high-profile clarification today. It turned out that he was afraid that the woman at home would misunderstand and be jealous. The second question, when are they getting married? President Lu actually said that it was up to the woman. From his tone, it seemed like he was completely controlled by the other party. As for the last question, beautiful. Oh, this tone of voice was doting and proud. Chapter 1264. After hearing Lu Tingxiao's answer, everyone expressed that second young master was right. Even they were stuffed with dog food. In just a short period of time, the amount of information revealed was simply too much. As the number one man that all women wanted to marry, it was finally announced that he had a partner today. Lu Tingxiao had a girlfriend. It turned out that Lu Tingxiao liked women, and the two of them had been dating for quite some time. Based on this, if it was someone from the entertainment industry with a boyfriend like Lu Tingxiao, that woman would definitely be an all-powerful figure in the entertainment industry. After all, Su Yimo was only borrowing Lu Tingxiao's popularity, and she could already do whatever she wanted in the entertainment industry, not to mention that she was Lu Tingxiao's official girlfriend. Who could it be? The retired Leng Manyun? No, Leng Manyun was already so old and she retired to get married, but President Lu and his girlfriend weren't married yet. Could it be Chu Jing, the super popular singer of Juxing Records, who was as popular as a rocket? Or the double best actress, Meng Shi, who was rumored to have a strong background and had a lot of resources as soon as she entered the entertainment industry. The entertainment industry was so popular that everyone guessed who had a strong background. Of course, most people were more inclined to guess that the other party was a rich socialite. Alright, since everyone is here, let's officially start the celebration. That's right, the next part is the part that you've all been looking forward to the most. Who will be so lucky to get the chance to dance with you? Lu Jingli said in an infectious manner. Finally, the lucky draw began. The women at the scene were extremely excited. Someone in the crowd said, if boss dances with another woman, will the lady boss be jealous? Lu Jingli glanced at the corner and said with a smile, how could that be? This is for work. My sister-in-law is very righteous. However, the reality was, how could his brother dance with another woman? Hee. Lu Tingxiao walked to the center of the stage and then two hostesses carried a large red cardboard box up to him. Vice President Yi Sudong was shocked and wanted to stop him, but it was too late. On the stage, the man's slender fingers unhurriedly pulled out a piece of paper with a number on it. The MC carefully took the paper from his boss, then looked excitedly at the nervous crowd below the stage and said, who will this lucky lady be? Next, I'll reveal it to everyone. Stop wasting time, hurry up and announce it. What's the number? Number 7, please, it must be number 7. Amidst the urging, the host slowly unfolded the slip of paper and said, this lucky lady is number 29. Which lady is number 29? There was a buzz of discussion below the stage. Everyone was looking at each other's number tags. Unfortunately, none of them were number 29. EMO. It's you? You're number 29. Zhao Anxin, who had been gloomy, pulled Su Yimo excitedly. Su Yimo came back to her senses and looked at the number tag in her hand in surprise. Is it me? It's EMO? Zhao Anxin didn't care about anything else. She was afraid that she would lose this opportunity to make a comeback. Upon hearing Zhao Anxin's words, the crowd fell silent for a moment. Su Yimo? How annoying. Calm down, I'm typing. Chapter 1265. Everyone had an indignant expression on their faces. No matter who it was better than Suyimo. She's so shameless. Now that you've failed to swindle me, you're trying to seduce me instead? Boss, get her. Don't dance with her. No matter who it is, it's better than Suyimo. But it's such an important event today, there are so many reporters watching. Second young master made the rules very clear, even if Suyimo did something, it's not going to change. Yimo, don't give up. With your looks, which man wouldn't want you? She's just your girlfriend, you're not married yet, you have a chance. Zhao Anxin said to Suyimo as she glared at the MC. The MC was on Suyimo's side, so he immediately said, "Congratulations Yimo, let's welcome." However, before he could finish, a cold voice came from the side. "Substitute." The MC's face instantly turned red, and he trembled in fear from Lu Tingxiao's oppressive aura. Substitute. Lu Tingxiao actually said he wanted to substitute Suyimo in front of everyone, he didn't even try to hide his hatred for her. Wow. Long live the boss. So cool. This is how people like her should be treated. Go and pick one, Lu Tingxiao said to the MC. The MC didn't dare to object, he didn't dare to waste a second and pulled out a number. After seeing the number on the paper, the MC's legs turned to jelly, and he almost knelt down. At the same time, the high-definition camera suddenly pointed at the paper in the MC's hand. On the huge screen behind him, the number on the slip of paper was displayed, 29. It was number 29 again. What the fuck? Why are there two numbers 29? Do you even need to ask? That box must be full of numbers 29. Ah. Suyimo is so embarrassed now. How can she be embarrassed tonight? Vice President Yi Sudong stumbled onto the stage and said in fear and trepidation, "I'm really sorry, President Lu, there was a small mistake." Then he glared at the MC. "What are you doing? Why did you come up with the same number?" The host's face was full of grievance, but he couldn't retort. Below the stage, Zhao Anxin fell to the ground. It's over, it was all over. They had thought that this opportunity was a life-saving straw, but who knew that it would be the last straw that broke the camel's back? She couldn't imagine how the image of a cold goddess she had created for Suyimo would be shattered after tonight. After a short period of twists and turns, Lu Jingli smiled and personally moved another cardboard box up. In order to show fairness, he even drew the number tag several times to prove that the numbers inside were all different. Then he replaced the position of the host. This time no one had any objections. They excitedly stared at Lu Tingxiao's finger as it reached into the box again. Ow ow ow, who could it be? This time it's really all luck. Xiao Tao excitedly grabbed Ningxi's arm. On the stage, Lu Jingli smiled and took the note from his brother's hand. He unfolded it unhurriedly and was about to use his unique skill of transfiguration to change into little Cicis, but the next second, his eyes widened. Holy shit. Number 166. My brother is amazing, he actually drew little Cici himself? There's still one more chapter. Chapter 1266. It had been proven just now that the box had not been tampered with at all. However, in order to coax girls, Lu Jingli had a skillful little magic trick. No matter what number his brother drew later, he would be able to change it to little Cici's number without anyone noticing. Tsk. His tricks were much better than Yi Sudong's. It wasn't the first time Lu Jingli had done something like this, so Lu Tingxiao naturally knew about it. Lu Jingli was originally planning to show off his skills, but who knew that his brother would be so amazing that he actually drew Ningxi. Damn it, my dear brother, your luck is too heaven-defying. Even the heavens are showing off to dogs, there's no justice in this world. Lu Jingli looked at the number on the paper with tears streaming down his face and said, "This time, your dear boss drew number 166. Let's invite our lucky baby onto the stage." As soon as he said that, the camera quickly passed through the crowd to find who number 166 was. Lin Jiji was stunned. It was Ningxi. Xiao Tao was about to go crazy with joy. Ah! Brother Shi, you're too awesome. You've been drawn. Her luck was too good tonight. Not only did she see Suyimo suffer, but she also received such a great benefit. Ningxi raised her eyebrows, but she quickly realized that Lu Jingli must have done something to it. When the camera pointed at Ningxi and the number 166 in her hand, the audience exclaimed in surprise and envy, "Wow! It's actually Ningxi. Although I wasn't chosen, I somehow feel very happy that I got Ningxi. What's going on?" "Ah, of course it's great. Just a while ago, Suyimo threatened to ban Ningxi. I also think it's good to get Ningxi. Lady Su's expression is even more interesting now, isn't it?" But I wonder if the boss is satisfied this time? He's not going to change again, is he? Ayaya. Ningxi. As expected of someone that I personally headhunted. Her luck is just like mine. Hurry up and come over. Under Lu Jingli's excited invitation, Ningxi adjusted her skirt and walked up to the stage step by step. Su Yimo stared at Ningxi, her nails digging into her palms. How can it be Ningxi? They must have done something. Otherwise, how could it be Ningxi so coincidentally? Liang Biqin was so angry that her face contorted. President Lu will never agree to dance with that vixen. Definitely not. After all, he doesn't even like you. Liang Biqin choked back the words, I don't like it. Under everyone's fervent gazes, Lu Tingxiao suddenly moved on the stage. The man straightened his sleeves, and then walked down the stage step by step with his two straight and slender legs, walking straight towards Ningxi's direction. Finally, the two of them stood facing each other, only 2 steps away from each other. Under everyone's breathless gaze, Lu Tingxiao stood in front of the girl and gracefully performed a gentleman's bow, slowly extending a hand towards the girl. Ningxi looked at the cold-faced man in a black suit in front of her and was almost dazzled by his beauty. She froze for a moment before coming back to her senses. She gently placed her hand in the man's wide palm. A burst of melodious music rang out. Lu Tingxiao held the girl's hand and walked to the dance floor. He held the girl's hand with one hand and gently hugged the girl's slender waist with the other hand. They swayed gently to the music, Lu Jingli behind him. Fuck, as the host, I even prepared a bunch of lines to liven up the atmosphere. Why did you two just jump on it? End of update. Kiss, don't wait for midnight, update at 9 a.m. Chapter 1267. Ningxi had thought there would be a lot of interaction with the guests, but to her surprise, Lu Tingxiao held her hand and led her onto the dance floor. Ahem. Your brother seems to have something to say? Ningxi glanced at Lu Jingli, who looked sad on the stage. Lu Tingxiao said, ignore him. Ningxi, oh. Under the huge and resplendent crystal lights on the dance floor, the man was wearing a black formal suit, while the woman was wearing a luxurious retro black dress. The two of them looked like they were wearing a couple's outfit, unexpectedly matching each other. What was even more surprising was that in front of someone like Lu Tingxiao, Ningxi's aura was not the slightest bit weaker. Several female artists gathered together and whispered, probably because the enemy of an enemy was a friend. Although they were all envious, they didn't mean any harm. To be honest, I'm completely convinced by Ningxi's looks. It's a feast of beauties. Oh, I'm so jealous. I want to dance with boss too. Why can't I be as lucky as Ningxi? One of the actresses, who seemed to be Ningxi's fan, immediately retorted, Ningxi is not that lucky. She was forced to act in a low-budget film by Su Yimo's party. She finally became famous with her own ability, but she was banned by Su Yimo. I think she deserves it. Otherwise, I would have doubted my life if I had to watch Su Yimo win. Finally, Su Yimo is no longer powerful. Another person sighed. Another person looked suspicious. Even if our boss doesn't know what Su Yimo has done, Lu Jingli should know how arrogant Su Yimo is. I don't know why he indulges that woman so much. I guess second young master has a problem with that, or he wouldn't have poached Ningxi to suppress her. Now it's going to be interesting. Do you think Su Yimo can defeat Ningxi without the halo of Lu Enterprises Group? An older female artist next to them analyzed, apart from Lu Tingxiao, Su Yimo has a solid foundation in the entertainment circle. I'm afraid it won't be easy for Ningxi to replace her. However, the new generation excels the old. This girl is indeed extraordinary, and now Lu Tingxiao has lifted the ban on her. No one knows what will happen in the future. Su Yimo and Lu Tingxiao's scandal had been clarified, and Lu Tingxiao had personally danced with Ningxi. Needless to say, Ningxi's ban had been lifted. Thus, all the photographers on the scene aimed their cameras at Ningxi. The photographers who had secretly taken a lot of photos of Ningxi on the red carpet were all glad, while those who didn't because they were afraid of Su Yimo regretted their actions and could only rush to take a few more photos. Late at night in Platinum Palace number 6. The WeChat group kept beeping, but Jiang Mai ignored them. It was obvious that they were talking about the anniversary celebration of Xingshi Entertainment tonight. The big screen of the game showed a big GA overs. Jiang Mai was so angry that he threw away the game controller and lay on the carpet behind him. The phone next to him was still beeping happily. Finally, Jiang Mai couldn't help but open the WeChat group. The latest message in the group was that someone had sent a short video. Jiang Mai casually clicked on it. In the video in the center of the stage under the bright lights, Ningxi and Lu Tingxiao were hugging each other and dancing the waltz. The scene was so beautiful that it was like a movie. Jiang Mai threw his phone away and patted the back of his hand. That's what you get for having such a dirty hand. Damn you. He had been hiding for so long, but it was all for naught. Sorry for being a little late. I set an alarm in the morning, but it was pressed by me. Now I'm writing while the leader is not here. I won't promise a specific update time next time. In case of accidents, I'll make you wait for nothing. Chapter 1268. After the dance, Lu Tingxiao gave a short speech and left the stage to Lu Jingli and Yi Sudong. What's especially worth mentioning is that last month, Dream Seeker exploded. Ningxi can be said to be a well-deserved dark horse in our entertainment industry. When Yi Sudong summarized his work with everyone, he changed his previous cold and indifferent attitude towards Ningxi and specially praised her performance in Dream Seeker. He also said a lot of words of encouragement. His attitude could be said to have changed 180 degrees. If possible, he hoped that Golden Era could produce more artists that were worthy of their attention. Golden Era entertainment had not been established for long, but it had caught up. The overall level of their artists was very high, and they had produced many outstanding newcomers. Their turnover had always been far ahead of other entertainment companies, even surpassing the veteran entertainment giant Starlight Entertainment. However, they lacked top-notch artists with great influence and reputation. Because Starlight Entertainment had the longest history, they had produced the highly respected and well-known Song Chuyue, Ding Shan, Lu Yan and many others. Even though many of them were no longer active in the entertainment industry, they were still firmly engraved on Starlight Entertainment's wall. As for Ning Shuilua, Li Leiling, Luo Fan and other new stars, they were also doing well. Fingxing Entertainment had the Grand Slam Best Actress Song Lin, who had won 12 trophies. They had produced a few Best Actresses. Even the newly established Orange Sky Media had a promising young Best Actress like Ming Shi. Ever since Leng Manyun left Golden Age Entertainment, the majority of the new generation was filled with newbies and starlets, but it was difficult to find an artist who could carry the entire company's reputation. Previously, Bai Lu had won a few domestic and international awards, but unfortunately, they were all Best Supporting Actress. Yi Sudong actually didn't think Ningxi was good-looking. She was too pretty, and it was difficult for her to go the high-end route. Look at the international Best Actress in the entertainment industry. Which of the big shots in Hollywood relied on their looks? It was easier for them to gain recognition in the high-end film industry if they were ugly and ordinary. Beautiful female stars had to pretend to be ugly if they wanted to win an award. It was almost a law in the entertainment industry. Take Su Yimo for example. She would never star in a film that would affect her image. Her achievements in the entertainment industry were destined to be stagnant. You probably liked Su Yimo because of the name Lu Tingxiao behind her back. Late at night, Lu Tingxiao and Ningxi returned to the Platinum Gold Palace after the celebration ended. Absence makes the heart grow fonder. At the banquet just now, Ningxi was hugged into a warm embrace as soon as she came back. Is Xiao Bao asleep? Yes. Have you dealt with the matters abroad? Ningxi looked at the man's tired face with distress. He came here as soon as he got off the plane. She guessed that he had worked overtime to come back. Yes. Lu Tingxiao didn't know if he heard what she said, or if he heard it but didn't think it through. He was busy kissing her eyes, her lips. At this moment she didn't have time to change her clothes. She was wearing a strong makeup that gave off the aura of a queen, but when she was in his arms she looked so cute. Ningxi was tickled by his kiss. She chuckled and pushed him. Oh yes, Lu Tingxiao, I wanted to ask you just now. Did you ask Lu Jingli to tamper with the numbers? How did he change the sign to mine? Or did you do it yourself? The man lowered his eyes and looked at him. No, it's just you. Ah? What do you mean? Ningxi was confused. Lu Tingxiao said, I got you. Ningxi's eyes widened. Damn. No way. Really? Really? So you were going to tamper with the numbers but you got me? Damn, we're so fated. Sweetheart, we're indeed a match made in heaven. Yes. Chapter 1269. Early the next morning, the headlines of all the major entertainment newspapers, magazines and online media were all about the shocking news that happened at Xingshi Entertainment's anniversary celebration last night. Su Yimo's PR team worked overtime to stop the media from talking, but it was to no avail. Without Lu Tingxiao as her backer, Su Yimo was just an artist in the entertainment industry. No matter how famous an artist was, their life and death were in the hands of the media. What's more, Lu Tingxiao clearly wanted to clarify the situation last night. Naturally, they would compete to follow his wishes. Early in the morning in the pantry of Lu Group. Ying came a little late today. After putting down her bag, she carried a cup of water to the pantry and heard excited chatter. Why is it so lively today? Seeing Ying, someone immediately pulled her back excitedly, and said in a mysterious tone, Director Yi, you don't know yet. Something big happened. What's wrong? What happened? Ying revealed a suspicious look. One of the secretaries said in an explosive tone, last night at Xingshi Entertainment's anniversary celebration, our boss announced in public that he has a girlfriend. And they've been dating for a long time, and they're in a stable relationship. What? Yi Ying's hands trembled and the coffee in her cup shook violently. She said with a face full of doubt, Boss really went public with Su Yimo? Hearing Yi Ying's words, laughter immediately came from the pantry. What? On the contrary, Boss slapped Su Yimo in public, saying that he doesn't even know her, and that his taste isn't that bad. Yi Ying was even more shocked and it took her a long time to react. What? If it's not Su Yimo, then who is it? I don't know. Boss hid her well, but what we do know is that Boss really dotes on her. He practically stuffed her with dog food last night. Read it yourself. One of the secretaries stuffed a newspaper into Yi Ying's hands. Yi Ying hurriedly put down the coffee in her hand and couldn't wait to flip through it. The media didn't dare to reveal too much information about Lu Tingxiao. They didn't even dare to release a single photo. However, they described the events of last night vividly. It was like writing a novel full of twists and turns, ups and downs. Who are you? I should know you. Is my taste that bad? These 3 short sentences were enough to imagine how powerful the man was. Fuck. The Su Yimo, she had always treated her like a grandchild, but in the end she was just a scammer? After reading it, Ying almost vomited blood. At the same time, she was extremely grateful for Lu Jing's reminder that she shouldn't rush to sign the contract with Su Yimo. After putting down the newspaper, Ying strode back to her office in high-heeled shoes. Without saying a word, she called Lin Jiji, Ningxi's agent. Ningxi still took up a lot of space in the gossip newspaper even though Su Yimo had stolen the limelight last night. Although there were no photos in the article, it greatly mentioned that Su Yimo's scheme failed and was rejected by Lu Tingxiao on the spot. Finally, Ningxi was chosen to dance the opening dance. This dance wasn't just a dance, it also showed Lu Tingxiao's attitude. Hello, is this Ningxi's agent, Miss Lin? Hello, I'm Yi Ying, the creative director of Lu Enterprises. Recently, the group is going to shoot a commercial and would like to invite Ningxi to audition. After successfully communicating with Lin Jiji about the audition, Yi Ying felt refreshed. At this moment, her phone suddenly rang. He looked at the caller ID and saw that it was Zhao Anxin. Chapter 1270. Hello, Director Yi? Miss Zhao, why are you calling me so early in the morning? It's like this. I want to ask Director Yi, when will we sign the contract with Yimo? And Bichin's commercial. It's been so many days, shouldn't it be time to sign the contract? Ying sneered when she heard this. This Zhao Anxin actually had the nerve to mention it. She was the creative director of the headquarters of Lu Enterprises. Everyone in the circle treated her with respect, but Zhao Anxin was the only one who bullied her boss. She had made many outrageous requests during their cooperation. Now that she knew Su Yimo wasn't the boss's woman, she didn't have to give her any face. Oh Miss Zhao, I'm very sorry. The double endorsement fee you proposed before was simply a fantasy. Miss Su's endorsement during this period of time did not have an impact on our products. Therefore we have already agreed to use other artists. As for Liang Bichin. Miss Zhao, you know very well about the reviews of Liang Bichin's movie on the internet. We've spent a lot of money on such an important movie. How can we let a rat's poop spoil the whole pot of porridge? It's better to know one's limits. After holding it in for so long, Ying could finally vent her anger. She didn't give Zhao Anxin any face. You. On the other end of the phone, Zhao Anxin looked like she was about to explode, but then she realized that things were different now, so she suppressed her anger and said, Director Yi, what do you mean? We've agreed on this from the beginning, and now you're going back on your word? It would have been better if she hadn't mentioned it. The moment she did, Ying was even angrier. Apart from my boss's reputation, you know very well how good your artist is. Lu Corporation isn't a garbage transfer station. After Yi Ying finished speaking, she hung up the phone. In a high-end villa in the capital. Su Yimo, Zhao Anxin and Liang Bichin didn't sleep the whole night. Since last night, he had been trying to think of a way to get a call, but he still had to watch the situation develop to this point. Zhao Anxin was afraid that something bad would happen, so she called Yi Ying as soon as it was time to go to work, but she didn't expect to get such a reply. She thought she would lose Biqing's commercial, but Su Yimo's contract was gone too. How is it? Su Yimo asked with a dark expression. Zhao Anxin's face darkened. That damned Yi Ying. Not only is Biqing's commercial gone, you can't even sign the contract with Yimo? How could this be? Those people are too much. Liang Biqing was exasperated. Su Yimo clenched her fists tightly. In just one night, everything had changed for her. All the people who used to suck up to her were now avoiding her. Ever since she had been made famous, she had been treated with utmost care wherever she went. Now that she had fallen from her pedestal, how could she accept it? However, she had forgotten that all of this should not have belonged to her. Seeing that Su Yimo's face was getting darker and darker, Zhao Anxin pinched her eyebrows and said, Yimo, don't be too sad. Even without Lu Tingxiao, you're still the most popular girl in Shengshe Entertainment? First sister. Su Yimo sneered. First sister? She was a joke in Shengshe Entertainment, in the entire entertainment industry. Zhao Anxin naturally knew how much they would lose without Lu Tingxiao. The competition in the entertainment industry was fierce, and Su Yimo wasn't young anymore. Without someone to back her up, she could easily be replaced. No. It wasn't easy for her to get to where she was today. She couldn't let everything go to waste. Zhao Anxin coughed and softened her tone. She moved closer to Su Yimo and said earnestly, Yimo, you have to look forward. Since things have already turned out like this, the most important thing now is to find a solution. I made an appointment with the boss of Rongxin Real Estate for you. Chapter 1271. However, before Zhao Anxin could finish, Su Yimo flew into a rage. Zhao Anxin. What do you mean? Do you think I'm the same as those prostitutes in the entertainment industry? As soon as Su Yimo said that, Liang Biqing's face darkened. What do you mean by a prostitute? I slept with the director and investors so many times in order to maintain a good relationship with her. Am I the only prostitute in her eyes? Is Su Yimo the only one who is pure and clean? Zhao Anxin was also displeased. She suppressed her emotions and continued to persuade her. Yimo, look at what you're saying. Isn't that how the entertainment industry is? You've been in the entertainment industry for so long. Don't you understand? I've inquired about it just now. That TV commercial has fallen into Ningxi's hands. She may even get the endorsement. Guo Qixing's new film has booked her as the leading actress. If you still don't get over it, you'll be even more humiliated when she tramples on you. Su Yimo bit her lip and said gloomily, No, I'm not going to be with that disgusting old man. From Lu Tingxiao to Sun Zhanping, that perverted man in his 50s, she couldn't accept it. Liang Biqing couldn't help muttering, Cousin, Lu Tingxiao has cut ties with you in public. Who are you keeping your chastity for, you? How dare you? Su Yimo slapped her. Even Liang Biqing dared to talk to her like that. Liang Biqing covered her face and yelled, Did I say anything wrong? Of course you are. Why can't you do what I do? Do you still think you're the high and mighty boss of Lu Enterprises? Lu Tingxiao doesn't like you at all, yet you're still pretending to be virtuous. Do you want us all to die with you? She had treated her cousin like an empress and behaved in front of her every day, but now she didn't even dare to step out of her house. All the glory and wealth she had dreamed of was gone. Stop arguing. Zhao Anxin furrowed her brows. Yimo Biqing's words aren't very nice, but they are the truth. Mr. Sun's looks aren't as good as Lu Tingxiao's, but how many people in this industry can reach such a position at such a young age like Lu Tingxiao? Su Yimo's body trembled and her eyes were bloodshot. She said coldly, Who said I have to sleep with Sun Zhanping to please him? You mean? Zhao Anxin muttered. I heard that Sun Zhanping is interested in Ningxi too, Su Yimo said coldly. I have indeed heard of this. It is said that at the charity dinner last time, Sun Zhanping even fought with a rich man for Ningxi. Thinking of the rich fan who had spent 100 million yuan to please Ningxi, Zhao Anxin felt a little envious. If Su Yimo had Ningxi's looks, it would be impossible for her to get close to any influential officials. Even if she tried to seduce Lu Tingxiao, she had a good chance of winning. Unfortunately, Liang Biqing's attention was also caught by her words. Cousin, are you saying that we should give Ningxi to Sun Zhanping? But Ningxi is very cunning. I haven't heard of her getting close to any rich man after being in this industry for so long. She's probably waiting for the right price to sell herself to a powerful backer. It won't be that easy. However, Zhao Anxin shook her head as her eyes lit up. That's not necessarily true. Su Yimo's popularity had fallen to rock bottom. Even if she went to Sun Zhangping's door, he might not buy it. Perhaps he might even look down on them. It would be better if she could help Sun Zhangping get Ningxi. Zhao Anxin's mind began to race. There was a great opportunity. It all depended on whether she could make a comeback or not. Given Su Yimo's current situation, she had to find a backer to stabilize the situation. Chapter 1272. A few days later, at a high-class resort in the imperial capital. That night, Yi Sudong, the vice president of Xingshi Entertainment, personally organized a dinner party and invited various investors and partners to network. During the banquet, several famous artists of the company were invited to accompany them, and Ningxi was one of them. In the past, the artists in the company would fight tooth and nail to show their faces at such an important occasion, so Ningxi definitely wouldn't have the chance to participate. This time, Yi Sudong specially invited Ningxi, obviously to focus on cultivating her. As for Su Yimo, the matter at the celebration had slightly faded. After thinking about it, Yi Sudong still invited her. After all, so many resources had been invested, this brand couldn't be left to rot. During the dinner, the investors who always talked about Su Yimo in the past all focused on Ningxi, the stunning newcomer. I really didn't expect Miss Ning to be even more beautiful in real life than in the movie. I was wondering which family's little star was so amazing, using a small amount to fight a big deal. A small production of tens of thousands of yuan earned a box office of 3 billion yuan. So she's one of Boss Yi's capable generals. Ha! And no wonder our president's son is obsessed with her. Haha, a fair and graceful lady is a gentleman's desire. Sun Zhangping chuckled and rubbed his chin, staring at Ningxi with a very explicit gaze. According to his usual personality, he would at least take advantage of her, but tonight he was especially polite. However, he couldn't hide the faint anxiety in his eyes. Previously, he had been hinting to Su Yimo that he wanted to have a taste of Lu Tingxiao's woman, but who knew that the bitch was so aloof? Only now did he know that the woman had nothing to do with Lu Tingxiao at all, and he had spent so much money chasing after her. Fortunately, that woman was smart and actually promised to give him a big gift tonight. During this period of time, Yi Sudong had lost a lot of face because of Su Yimo. Now that he saw Ningxi being praised by all the bosses, he was in a very good mood. Our Ningxi indeed has a lot of potential. Of course, this is also inseparable from your support. I hope everyone can take care of me in the future. When she had just returned to China, Ningxi was not very suitable for such occasions. At this moment she was able to cope with it easily. As Yi Sudong toasted everyone, she spoke very appropriately, which made Yi Sudong even more satisfied. On the other side, Liang Biqin stared at Ningxi, who had the upper hand. She stabbed the beef on her plate with hatred. Su Yimo's expression was dark, but she didn't show it. Her eyes were filled with cold mockery. When the news of you and that disgusting old man Sun Zhangping spreads throughout the entertainment circle tomorrow morning, let's see if you can still be proud of yourself. With such a big piece of news, the gossip about her being embarrassed at the ceremony would be suppressed. I'm going to the bathroom. Ningxi politely stood up and left her seat. Seeing this, Liang Biqin immediately gave the waiter a look. The waiter nodded, picked up Ningxi's almost empty glass and filled it with wine. At the same time he quietly put the powder in his palm into the glass, in the bathroom. Ningxi's phone rang. It was Lu Tingxiao. The mask on Ningxi's face was immediately removed, turning into a sweet smile. Hey, is it over? The man's deep voice came from the other end of the phone. Not yet, but it should be soon. At the Dragon Soar Club? Yeah. Let me know when it's over. I'm nearby, I'll come find you later. Okay. Chapter 1273. Ningxi quickly returned to her seat. Seeing Ningxi sit down, Liang Biqin couldn't help but straighten her back. Even Su Yimo tensed up and secretly looked at Ningxi. Ningxi glanced at the glass in front of her that was already full. She picked it up unhurriedly and rubbed it in her palm. However, after waiting for a long time, Ningxi still didn't drink, which made Liang Biqin and Su Yimo anxious. When Ningxi was abroad, she hung out with her senior brother and his gang for a long time, and her way of doing things was direct. When she first returned to the country, she couldn't get used to the twists and turns of the entertainment industry, and even fell for their tricks several times. But now, how could she make such a low-level mistake again? The biggest taboo in a dinner or a nightclub or a bar was not to drink anything after you left your seat, because no one knew if he would be tricked. Not to mention that Liang Biqin and Su Yimo were present today. Unless she was stupid, she wouldn't drink it directly. Seeing that Ningxi didn't move, Su Yimo finally couldn't hold it in anymore. She picked up her glass and stood up. I'm very grateful for everyone's care for me and Shengshi. Let me toast to all of you. I'll toast to all of you too. Liang Biqin also stood up. Seeing that Su Yimo and Liang Biqin had already said so, the other artists naturally stood up and toasted, including Ningxi. Isudong was quite satisfied that Su Yimo was so sensible all of a sudden. Su Yimo finished her glass in one gulp and glanced at Ningxi from the corner of her eyes. Ningxi finally picked up her glass and finished it in one gulp. Then she picked up a white towel from the side and wiped the corner of her mouth. Su Yimo and Liang Biqin looked at each other and heaved a sigh of relief. However, in reality, Ningxi didn't even drink the wine. She secretly spat it all out on the white towel. Oh my, everyone, I'm really sorry. I can't hold my liquor, so I'll be going back to my room first. Sun Jianping had endured for the whole night, and he couldn't wait any longer. He was absent-minded during the entire banquet, and it wasn't even 11 o'clock yet, but he already wanted to end the banquet. After Sun Jianping left, the remaining people didn't drink much and quickly dispersed. Longyu was a top-notch entertainment club in the capital, but its location was very remote. Isudong had already booked a room for everyone, and everyone would be staying here tonight. After the party, Ningxi sent a text message to Lu Tingxiao and returned to her room. In the dark, Ningxi didn't change her clothes. She leaned on the bed with her head tilted. There was no sleepiness in her eyes, but interest on her face. After lying down for less than a minute, Ningxi heard a rustling sound coming from the door. He really came fast. It was obvious that he had his eyes on her one moment, and then he followed her the next. With a ding sound, the door was directly opened from the outside. A burst of heavy and staggering footsteps accompanied by a strong smell of alcohol approached from afar. Little beauty, have you been waiting for a long time? Don't worry, big brother is coming to love you. Sun Jianping smiled obscenely and couldn't wait to pounce on the figure on the bed. In the end he missed. In the next second, a heart-wrenching pain came from his arm. Ah! Sun Jianping let out a howl like a pig being slaughtered, but Ningxi covered his face with a pillow, and he could only let out muffled moans. Outside the door, Liang Biqin, who was leaning against the crack of the door, heard the man's ambiguous moans and immediately became excited. Ningxi, that bitch, was finally finished. Liang Biqin hurriedly called Su Yimo as she listened. Cousin, it's done. You can inform the media now. 7. As compensation for being late, I'm very sorry. I sincerely apologize to everyone here, although an apology is useless. Because I've been staying up late for a long time, my condition has been getting worse recently. I promised to update later because I wanted some pressure to force myself to change. In the end, I underestimated the power of habit and made everyone wait in vain. I'm sorry again. Chapter 1274. After the phone call, Liang Biqin felt extremely happy. Thinking that Ningxi, the bitch, was pressed under Sun Jianping, the disgusting man, and that her photos in bed would be on the headlines tomorrow morning and her image would be completely ruined, she felt that she had vented her anger. Because of this damned woman, she had been scolded badly during this period of time, and even the advertisement she was about to get was snatched away by her. Liang Biqin put away her phone, hummed a song and turned to leave. However, as soon as she took a step, she heard the sound of the door opening behind her, and then a strong force came from her arm. Before she could react, she was dragged into the room, then there was a bang, and the door was slammed shut. Liang Biqin's mind went blank, and it was too late when she reacted. A rough and hot palm hugged her from behind and threw her rudely onto the bed. There was the sound of clothes tearing and she felt a sharp pain in her lower body. Not only was Ningxi's glass of wine drugged, but they also drugged Sun Jianping's glass of wine just in case. At this moment, Sun Jianping had completely lost his mind, and was madly venting on Liang Biqin's body. Just where did it go wrong? Liang Biqin couldn't even scream. She wanted to resist, but she was slapped hard and fainted. Sun Jianping, on the other hand, was shaking his body tirelessly, biting the woman's body like a beast. Outside the door, Ningxi listened to the man's rough roar from inside the room with a cold expression. He actually had to come and confirm it in person after doing something bad. Then he couldn't blame her for pushing him away. Ningxi went to the front desk to get a new room, and then sent the change room number to Lu Tingxiao. In a corner not far from the lobby, the waiter who had drugged Ningxi just now looked at Ningxi's back, his face full of surprise and suspicion. Wasn't that Ningxi? Shouldn't she be in the room with Sun Jiangping now? Why was she here? After receiving Liang Biqin's call, Su Yimo began to walk back and forth in the room excitedly. Finally. She could finally vent her anger. Have you informed the media? Let them tomorrow morning? No. Let them come now. From what Biqin said, that shameless couple has already done it. Coincidentally, the vice president and those bosses are all here tonight. Let them see how slutty that woman is with their own eyes. Su Yimo urged. Zhao Anxin let out a sigh of relief and said with a smile, Don't worry, I've already informed them. All the media will be here in half an hour. If this kind of thing was exposed, only Ningxi would be doomed eternally. It wouldn't have any impact on Sun Jiangping. Instead, it would add a glorious stroke to his history of hunting for women. So, tonight not only did he please Sun Jiangping and destroy Ningxi, his biggest opponent, but he also got rid of the scandal from before. It was like killing 3 birds with 1 stone. The more Zhao Anxin thought about it, the more excited she became. She waited excitedly and said to Su Yimo in a good mood, Yimo, thank you for coming up with such a good idea. Why don't we go and watch the fun later? Su Yimo took a sip of red wine. Of course I have to take a good look. At the same time, Ningxi had already comfortably laid down in another room. It would take a while for Lu Tingxiao to arrive, so she decided to take a comfortable bath first. Just as she was done, the doorbell rang. Ningxi put on her bathrobe, dried her hair, and opened the door. At the door, Lu Tingxiao seemed to realize something after receiving the message that Ningxi had changed her room number. He looked a little anxious, but as soon as he came over, he saw that Ningxi had just taken a bath. His back immediately tensed up. Update 8. Chapter 1275. Seeing Lu Tingxiao standing at the door in a daze, Ningxi had to lead him in. Are you busy tonight? Ningxi asked. Yes, I have a dinner party. Lu Tingxiao smelled the fresh and pleasant fragrance of the girl after shower. He had an upright expression that said, I'm here for business, not for my wife. As Lu Tingxiao said, he took the towel from Ningxi's hand and gently wiped her wet hair. Ningxi squinted her eyes like a cat, enjoying his service. Why did you change the room number? Lu Tingxiao's cold voice sounded. Ningxi smiled coldly. Because it's too dirty? Then Ningxi briefly told Lu Tingxiao what had happened tonight. Lu Tingxiao's face darkened. He had planned to let it go since that woman had saved Xiaobao's life. But now, even if he promised Ningxi that he wouldn't interfere in her business, he couldn't let it go this time. Don't be angry. Liang Biqin was talking on the phone at the door when I left, so I pushed her in. Ningxi said with a sly expression. Sorry, I'm still angry, Lu Tingxiao said with a straight face. He had made up his mind to do something. At the same time, at the door of Presidential Suite 801. The reporters all came after hearing the news. More and more people gathered at the door, all looking excited. Is it really Ningxi? It's true. It's an insider who leaked the news. Holy shit. That's unbelievable. Brother, she is my idol. How could she be with that pervert Sun Jiangping? You can't judge a book by its cover. Don't believe what actors say to the public. Just look at Su Yimo. In the corner, Su Yimo and Zhao Anxin exchanged a look when they saw the reporters were almost there. Then they called the waitress and asked her to secretly open the door for the reporters. Where's Biqin? Su Yimo had been immersed in the excitement of Ningxi's misfortune. Then she realized that Liang Biqin had disappeared after making the phone call and didn't go back to the room to look for them. Don't worry about her. She's probably in an investor's room. Zhao Anxin said casually. She guessed that Liang Biqin had also gone to find a backer tonight. After receiving the call, the waitress hurried over. Because she had seen Ningxi in the lobby, she felt that something was wrong, but she didn't care. Anyway, she was just following orders. She would do whatever the person who paid her told her to do. So, the waiter pretended to persuade the reporters to leave, but took advantage of the chaos to open the door with a beep. The moment the door was pushed open, all the media swarmed in and crazily squeezed in. The scene inside the house did not disappoint them. The room was filled with that kind of sweet smell and the disgusting smell of alcohol, mixed with a bit of the smell of blood. The reporters had already rushed in, but Sun Jiangping was still crazily moving on the woman's body. His face was full of ferocious lust, and the woman's face was buried in the quilt. Her body was full of blood and bruises from being bitten. It was a shocking sight. All the reporters were shocked by this scene. When they came back to their senses, they heard the sound of camera flashes one after another. Help me. Cousin, help me. Xian, help me. Help. Liang Biqin had already woken up and was shouting. At this time, a reporter finally came back to his senses. This doesn't look like Ningxi. Huh? Not Ningxi? Then who is it? At this time, Sun Jiangping suddenly changed the position of Liang Biqin, and Liang Biqin's face was suddenly revealed to all the reporters. All the reporters were shocked. Liang Biqin. It's not Ningxi. It's Liang Biqin. 9th update. Chapter 1276. Su Yimo and Zhao Anxin sensed that something was wrong in the room, and they could even hear someone saying Liang Biqin's name. A sense of foreboding gradually emerged in their hearts. What was going on? Why did someone say the person in the room was Liang Biqin? Taking advantage of the media's attention, they hurried to see what was going on. In the end, after seeing the situation inside, the two of them were like a bolt from the blue. Why was it Liang Biqin instead of Ningxi? How could it be Biqin? Su Yimo couldn't believe her eyes. Zhao Anxin was also going crazy. Where's Ningxi? Where's that bitch? No matter what was going on, it was over. This time it was all over for him. They couldn't figure out how things had turned out like this. Seeing the waitress at the end of the corridor, Zhao Anxin ran to her angrily and gnashed her teeth. What's going on? Didn't I tell you to drug Ningxi? Looking at Zhao Anxin and Su Yimo who were glaring at her, the waitress said innocently, I don't know. I really don't know what happened. You saw it with your own eyes when I drugged her. How did Ningxi become the person in the room? The waiter hurriedly told him that he had seen Ningxi just now. I saw Ningxi and President's son enter the room with my own eyes, and then, when I was in the lobby, I didn't know why I saw Ningxi, who should have been in the room. She stayed at the front desk for a while and I don't know what she was doing. Why didn't you tell me earlier? Zhao Anxin was furious. Ask her what she was doing there. Zhao Anxin had a feeling that this was the key to the problem. The waiter had no choice but to call the front desk. Then, his face suddenly changed and he replied to the two of them with a trembling voice, Ning? She didn't stay in the room she booked before. I don't know why, but she booked a new room herself. This time Su Yimo and Zhao Anxin were dumbfounded. It was obvious that Ningxi had seen through their plan, although they didn't know how she did it. Seeing their faces turning darker and darker, the waitress added, but the front desk told me that she saw a man enter Ningxi's room not long after Ningxi checked in. What? Are you serious? Zhao Anxin's acting skills immediately shone, and Su Yimo also looked over nervously. There shouldn't be a mistake. The waiter didn't dare to guarantee anything. Zhao Anxin and Su Yimo looked at each other, and in the end Zhao Anxin said, no matter what, let's go check it out first. This time we'll go there ourselves. Su Yimo nodded and asked, where is Ningxi's room? It's upstairs. Room 906. The waiter replied. The two of them didn't have time to think. They didn't even care about Liang Biqin, who was still crying for help in the room, and immediately rushed upstairs. Standing in front of room 906, Zhao Anxin and Su Yimo took a deep breath. If there was really a man in Ningxi's room, then tonight's loss wouldn't be too bad. Anyway, the reporters were downstairs and they could directly call them up. That wild man couldn't escape in time. 10th update. Chapter 1277. Are you sure it's Ningxi inside? This time Zhao Anxin asked cautiously. The waiter was sure of it. I'm sure. You have to register with your real name, so it must be Ningxi. And I saw her go to the front desk with my own eyes, so I can't be wrong. Outside the door, Su Yimo took a deep breath and signaled the waiter with her eyes. Open the door. Be quiet, don't alarm the person inside. Zhao Anxin reminded the waiter and immediately turned on the video recording on her phone, so that she could have first-hand evidence in case of any accidents. The waiter said awkwardly, my access card can only open rooms below the 8th floor. I can't open rooms here. Zhao Anxin frowned and said, then ring the doorbell and say it's room service. The waiter could only nod and ring the doorbell, pretending to be room service. After a while, the door was finally opened from the inside with a squeak. However, the next second, when they saw who it was, Su Yimo and Zhao Anxin, who had been holding their breath and waiting outside the door, were instantly horrified. Zhao Anxin's eyes widened and her face twisted. She looked so funny that she almost bit her tongue. President Lu. There was indeed a man in the room. But the person who opened the door was Lu Tingxiao. The man seemed to have just taken a shower. He was wearing a white bathrobe and his hair was slightly wet. The sight of water slipping down his neck and into his clothes made Su Yimo's mouth go dry. Su Yimo's eyes were filled with deep infatuation. When she came back to her senses, she immediately became shy and even her voice became soft and delicate. Mr. Lu, Zhao Anxin glared fiercely at the waiter beside her. This incompetent person actually made a mistake again. The man in this room wasn't Ningxi at all but Lu Tingxiao. However, this was also an unexpected gain. In the past few days she had been looking for a chance to apologize to Lu Tingxiao with Su Yimo. However, it was impossible for people like them to see Lu Tingxiao. Who would have thought that they would meet under such circumstances? Zhao Anxin quickly came up with an idea and said in fear and trepidation, "Boss Lu, I'm really sorry to disturb your rest so late. We came here because we heard that you would be staying here tonight. We would like to apologize for the trouble we have caused you. We EMO were completely unaware of those rumors. We also didn't know how things ended up being misunderstood like that. Of course, we didn't notice and clarify in time, causing you and your girlfriend trouble. We're really sorry about that." Su Yimo, who had been speechless because of Lu Tingxiao, was very satisfied with what she had said. As a manager, she could still be of some use at critical moments. At this moment, when the waitress heard that this person was the president of Lu Group, she was petrified. Oh my God. She couldn't believe that she would be able to meet such a legendary figure in her lifetime. He was really handsome. But how could the receptionist make such a mistake? Did she remember the room number wrong? After Zhao Anxin finished speaking, Su Yimo's eyes immediately turned red and tears rolled down her cheeks. She choked and bowed deeply to Lu Tingxiao. "Boss Lu, I apologize to you and your girlfriend for what happened before. If she still doesn't understand, I'm willing to explain and apologize to her in person." Chapter 1278. Su Yimo's shoulders trembled as she said this, as if she had been greatly wronged. The waitress couldn't bear to see her like this. Zhao Anxin nodded inwardly. Su Yimo's acting skills were on full display tonight. Zhao Anxin and Su Yimo didn't expect Lu Tingxiao to have the patience to listen to their explanation, but to their surprise, Lu Tingxiao just stood there and listened patiently. Then, the man looked at Su Yimo coldly and said calmly, "Are you going to apologize to my girlfriend?" Su Yimo immediately raised her tear-stained face. "Yes, as long as you can forgive me, I'm willing to do anything." Seeing this, Zhao Anxin's face was full of joy. It seemed there was a chance. Sure enough, all men couldn't stand a woman acting coquettishly and pitifully. At this moment, in the bedroom of the suite, Ningxi was concentrating on the script of a new show. Because it was too late and too far to go back, Ningxi and Lu Tingxiao planned to stay here for the night. Noticing that Lu Tingxiao hadn't come back after opening the door, Ningxi couldn't help but feel suspicious. She turned her head and called out lazily, "Sweetheart?" There seemed to be no response, so Ningxi scratched her head and walked barefoot to the door. At the door, Zhao Anxin and Su Yimo heard a woman's soft and pleasant "sweetheart" from inside the suite. Su Yimo's face turned pale. So Lu Tingxiao was with his girlfriend tonight? She had thought that Lu Tingxiao was the aloof and restrained type, even when he was in love, so the woman he liked should be the same type. Who knew that she would hear such a sweet call? Looking at Lu Tingxiao's expression, that face that was originally cold, alienated, and unapproachable seemed to have melted like ice and snow. What kind of woman could make Lu Tingxiao dote on her so much? Not only Su Yimo but Zhao Anxin was also very curious. The waitress wanted to take another look, but Zhao Anxin felt that she was in the way and had already driven her away with a look. A very light sound of footsteps on the soft carpet was heard. Su Yimo held her breath, restrained all kinds of complicated emotions in her eyes, and stared at the direction of the room. It was only a few seconds, but Su Yimo felt like centuries had passed. Finally, the person walked out from the corner. The girl seemed to have just taken a shower. Her face was flushed and she was wearing a set of pink pajamas. Her jet black hair was lazily draped over her shoulders, and she was holding a thick stack of scripts with colorful labels in her hand. She walked towards the door with a suspicious look on her face. After seeing who the woman in the room was, Su Yimo felt as if a meteorite had crashed into her brain, creating a loud noise. "Ning." Su Yimo's lips trembled, and she seemed to be on the verge of going crazy. She raised her eyebrows in surprise when she saw Su Yimo and Zhao Anxin at the door. But since she had already been seen, there was nothing she could do. Ningxi's attention was soon attracted by something more important. She quickly walked up to Lu Tingxiao and with a frown she pulled the collar of Lu Tingxiao's pajamas tighter. Looking at the girl's stingy look, Lu Tingxiao chuckled hoarsely. Then he took Ningxi's hand and when he turned to the two people at the door, he instantly became distant and aloof. Aren't you going to apologize to my girlfriend? Chapter 1279. Your girlfriend is Ningxi. How could it be? How could it be Ningxi? That's impossible. That's impossible. Su Yimo shook her head mechanically and muttered, how could it be? Zhao Anxin's face turned ashen and she fell to the ground. Oh my god. Wrong. It was all wrong. When she saw that the man who opened the door was Lu Tingxiao, her first thought was that the room number was wrong. She didn't expect that the waiter was telling the truth. The room number was right and it was Ningxi who lived in it. But the man the waiter was talking about was Lu Tingxiao. Lu Tingxiao's rumored mysterious girlfriend was Ningxi. And from the information Lu Jingli revealed that day, the two had been together for a long time. No wonder Lu Jingli went to poach Ningxi himself and asked Lin Jiji to take her out of the mountain. No wonder Lu Tingxiao never attended the anniversary celebration in the past, but this year. No wonder Lu Tingxiao rejected Su Yimo on the spot, and then picked Ningxi as his dance partner. Zhao Anxin felt like she was going crazy. What scared her even more was that since Ningxi knew about their plan, Lu Tingxiao must have known about it too. Lu Tingxiao suddenly appeared here in the middle of the night. Was he here for this? They tried to set up Lu Tingxiao's woman and sent her to the bed of that pervert, Sun Zhanping. It was over. This time it was all over. Zhao Anxin's body trembled violently. In extreme horror she knelt down with a thud. Ningxi. Miss Ningxi. I didn't do it on purpose. I really didn't do it on purpose. It was all Su Yimo's idea. She said she wanted to give you to Sun Zhanping to please her. She called the reporters and she heard that a man entered your room and wanted to catch you in the act. I was just following orders from the beginning to the end. Miss Ning, please forgive me this time. At that moment, Zhao Anxin wanted to slap herself to death. She was really blind. He worshipped a fake lady boss like she was a bodhisattva, and even helped the fake to frame the real owner. Lu Tingxiao wasn't just an ordinary businessman like he appeared to be. He was ruthless and ruthless. 5 years ago, he had single-handedly quelled the civil strife that had almost caused the collapse of the Lu Group. 5 years ago he had pushed the Lu Group to the pinnacle. His businesses spanned across Southeast Asia and around the world. Killing a person like her would be as easy as killing an ant. Su Yimo was in a daze. She hadn't expected Zhao Anxin to betray her and blame everything on her. She could no longer maintain her image as a goddess and she screamed, Zhao Anxin, I will tear your mouth apart. Weren't you the one who manipulated public opinion to use Mr. Lu? Everything that happened tonight was your doing, and you're pushing all the blame onto me. She hated him so much. How hateful. Why wasn't she Lu Tingxiao's woman? Even if it was someone else she could accept it, but why was it Ningxi? Why did it have to be Ningxi? Su Yimo regretted coming here to frame Ningxi. If it hadn't been for what happened tonight, she would still be a high and mighty superstar. But now, it was too late to say anything. Lu Tingxiao's frosty face revealed a trace of impatience as he watched the two of them quarrel endlessly. Soon after, a few bodyguards in black clothes appeared out of nowhere and dragged the two of them away at an extremely fast speed. Chapter 1280. Ningxi watched as Su Yimo and Zhao Anxin suddenly appeared and were dragged away. Don't worry, they won't tell anyone. Lu Tingxiao closed the door, blocking out the pungent smell of perfume left by the two women outside. Ningxi shrugged. Oh, I'm not worried about that. They are the last people in the world who will tell anyone about our relationship. Sorry, I promised you I wouldn't interfere with your work, but not this time. Lu Tingxiao seemed determined to deal with the two women. Ningxi scratched her head. But she saved Xiaobao. Although he didn't know that Su Yimo had crashed into another car that almost hit Xiaobao while drunk driving, he still saved Xiaobao. Lu Tingxiao looked very serious. She almost hurt you. In other words, wife, you are more important. More important than our son. Okay. Looking at Lu Tingxiao's serious face, Ningxi stood on tiptoe and kissed his chin. Okay, I got it. You can deal with it however you want. Okay. The man nodded seriously, not revealing that he was helping his wife get rid of the obstacle and speed up the process of marrying him. Lu Tingxiao didn't want these people to occupy his rare time alone with Ningxi. He glanced at the script in Ningxi's hand and changed the topic. The script for a new show? Yes. Do you want to review it? Ningxi asked. No, Guiqixing's show is almost perfect. Besides, he made it for you, Lu Tingxiao answered. Ningxi blinked and said in surprise, Oh, how did you know? Just a guess. Lu Tingxiao said, My wife is so excellent, so it's only natural. Okay, you're almost a god. Ningxi held the script and leaned comfortably in Lu Tingxiao's arms. The two of them flipped through the script together. Mr. Ku Mingyu, who doesn't care about fame and fortune, do you have a role in mind? Ningxi teased. Lu Tingxiao glanced at the list of actors. After a while he pointed at one of the names. Ningxi looked at it. Lian? Yes. Seeing that name, the corner of Ningxi's mouth twitched. You really know how to choose. Lu Tingxiao replied, Thank you for the compliment, madam. Ningxi was speechless. Then she looked at Lu Yan's introduction and clicked her tongue. Lu Yan, the shadow guard of the female lead. She doesn't have many scenes, but almost all of them are scenes with me. The most important thing is, the only sex scene I have in the movie is not with the male lead but with Lu Yan. Ningxi said, raising her eyebrows and squinting at the man. Did you choose this role because of the former reason or the latter reason? Lu Tingxiao said with a straight face, both? Ningxi, okay. There's nothing wrong with this answer. Lu Tingxiao and Ningxi were leisurely chatting and reading scripts in the room, while more and more reporters gathered downstairs. Not only because of what happened to Liang Biqin, but also because they saw Su Yimo and Zhao Anxin being thrown out by two bodyguards like sacks. That night, the news spread in the circle. The next morning, as soon as the entertainment gossip headlines appeared on all the major websites, it caused a sensation in the entire entertainment industry. Almost everyone was discussing it. Chapter 1281. The screen was filled with headlines like Liang Biqin sleeps with Lu Tingxiao and Liang Biqin sleeps with Lu Tingxiao and related photos and videos. Su Yimo was expelled for seducing Lu Tingxiao and Su Yimo was banned were all over the headlines. The entire internet was in chaos. A few days ago, everyone was still talking about Su Yimo. Who would have thought that there would be such an explosive development? Shengshi Entertainment's PR department was ringing off the hook for the entire morning. Shengshi Entertainment had lost 3 of its best members, and Yi Sudong was extremely busy. However, the employees and female artists who had been oppressed by Su Yimo were overjoyed. They were just short of celebrating publicly. Starlight Entertainment was the happiest company in the industry. As the industry leader, Starlight Entertainment had always been suppressed by the up-and-coming Shengshi Entertainment. How could they not be happy when they saw Shengshi Entertainment's misfortune? Of course, not everyone in Starlight Entertainment was so happy. Ning Xuelua threw away the newspaper on her phone, her expression extremely ugly. What the hell is Su Yimo doing? She had been counting on Su Yimo to make a move. That way she would be able to get rid of Ningxi with a borrowed knife. Who knew that Su Yimo would end up like this? A few days ago, when Su Yimo was publicly humiliated by Lu Tingxiao, Ning Xuelua wasn't worried at all when she saw that Su Yimo had lost her backer. Instead, she was even more convinced that Su Yimo would be more eager to get rid of Ningxi now that she had lost her backer. Ning Xuelua was in a good mood these days. She was waiting for Ningxi's downfall, but who knew that Su Yimo, Liang Biqin and Zhao Anxin would all be wiped out? Chang Li's brows furrowed as she mused. Logically speaking, Zhao Anxin shouldn't have made such a mistake. How did you let someone get hold of such an important weakness, and it happened to be photographed by a reporter? The 3 of them couldn't even beat Ningxi. What a bunch of idiots. Ning Xuelua was furious. Sai, this is going to be troublesome. Without Su Yimo, Ningxi will be even more arrogant. She's Lu Jingli's direct descendant, and she's become famous recently. I'm afraid all the opportunities that belong to Su Yimo at Lu Corporation will fall into her hands. Chang Li's face was filled with worry. Who would have thought that Ningxi, who used to be inflexible and inflexible, would now be like a fish in water in the entertainment industry? Even Su Yimo was defeated by her. Ningxi's every step since she entered the circle was calculated step by step. She climbed up step by step and her speed was frightening. Chang Li didn't dare to think about it anymore. Otherwise she would vomit to death from regret. Things had come to this point. There was no turning back. Ning Xuelua gritted her teeth angrily and dialed Ningxi's number. Hey sister, congratulations. I didn't expect you to be so powerful. Ningxi was not surprised to receive Ning Xuelua's call. What's up? Ning Xue said, come out and meet me. Ningxi, sure. She could basically guess why Ning Xuelua was looking for her. Since she was free now, it would be good to play with her. An hour later, in a private room of a cafe, Ning Shualua went straight to the point. I won't keep you in suspense. I'm sure you know why I'm looking for you. I can buy the 10% shares you have at a price 30% higher than the market price. Of course, I can't take out all of that money at once. I can use the shares of history to make up for the missing part. Chapter 1282. Ning Shualua looked pained when she said this. Obviously, she wouldn't have offered such a high price if she hadn't been forced to. Ning Shi chuckled. History's shares? Ning Shualua snorted. You know that history's shares are still very valuable. Don't worry, you won't lose anything. Originally she was counting on Su Yimo to kill Ning Shi, but now things had turned out like this. She couldn't delay the matter of the shares. In case anything unexpected happened, her top priority was to quickly take back the 10% shares from Ning Shi. Ning Shi said calmly, actually, I'm not interested in the Ning family shares at all. Hearing this, Ning Shualua's eyes lit up. The next second, Ning Shi continued, but I won't give it to you even if I feed it to a dog. You. Ning Shualua slammed the table and stood up. She was clearly mocking her for being worse than a dog. Ning Shualua's eyes were gloomy. Ning Shi, don't forget that I still have something on you. If I expose your scandal back then. Ning Shi didn't seem to care at all. She held her chin and said slowly, then let's see if it's my gossip or your fake daughter's gossip. Ning Shualua's expression changed and she almost vomited blood. In the end, the two parted on bad terms. Speaking of which, the Ning family was quite tacit. She had just seen Ning Shualua when Ning Yaobang called her. Xiaoxi, my dear niece. Do you have time to come out for a meal? Second uncle's treat. Ning Yaobang was such a scumbag who tried everything he could to coax his wife into cheating and having illegitimate children one after another. Ning Shi was so disgusted that she didn't even have the mood to deal with him. She hung up the phone. Seeing that it was almost time, Ning Shi went home and changed into men's clothes. Then she went to the advertising department of Lu Enterprises building for the audition. This time, the Lu Group had invested a huge sum of money to create this short commercial called 7 Days. They had invited 7 super popular male stars and filmed the 7 major industries under the Lu Group. It would be released on all the brands under the Lu Group and had a great influence. Even though the employees of Lu Group were well trained under Lu Tingxiao's guidance, they couldn't restrain themselves when they found out that there would be 7 male idols of different styles coming for the audition that day. They spent the entire morning there, their souls hooked to who knows where. When Ning Shi arrived, the whole office building was filled with screams. Surrounded by a group of female employees, the guy with golden hair, huge black sunglasses and a roguish smile, was none other than Jiang Mai. Judging from the reactions of the female employees, Lu Tingxiao had probably gone down for an inspection and had yet to return to the company. Someone in the crowd screamed in Ning Shi's direction. Then those female employees who were originally surrounding Jiang Mai instantly abandoned Jiang Mai and rushed towards Ning Shi like a tide. Brother Shi. Brother Shi. Brother Shi, hubby, idol, I love you. Slow down, be careful. Ning Shi held a girl who was almost pushed by someone. The women screamed even more excitedly in response. Jiang Mai, who was holding a pen behind her, was speechless. Although Brother Shi is my new favorite now, I also want the other Prince Charming's autographs. The happiest one must be Director Yi. I really suspect that she is abusing her power to make this commercial. At this point, Secretary Xiao Zhao suddenly thought of something and said, shouldn't the female lead of this commercial be the happiest? Acting alongside the 7 male gods. Alright. Who's the female lead? Little Zhao shook his head. I'm not sure about that. I've asked Director Yi a few times but he refused to tell me. He's quite mysterious. Notice, in order to let everyone know the update and other relevant information in time, the old antique author Jun, who hasn't had a reader group for many years, was so dizzy last night that he didn't have much time to write. He rushed to upload 2 chapters first. I'm going to sleep now. I may only be able to get up in the afternoon to continue writing. Also, the QQ group has been upgraded. Those who didn't get in yesterday can try again today. Chapter 1284. Jiang Mai's mouth twitched as he watched Lu Tingxiao walk into the office. Lu Tingxiao came at the right time. Did he have to be so vigilant against girls? Without the female staff blocking the way, Ning Shi and Jiang Mai walked toward the advertising department. Jiang Mai glanced at Ning Shi as he walked and mumbled, "Ning Xiaoxi, are you a henpecked husband now?" Ning Shi raised her eyebrows and squinted at him. "I like it." Jiang Mai was so choked that he ground his teeth. Who was the one who said that he loved freedom and was unrestrained? Who is the one who is being controlled now? Doesn't your conscience hurt? Ning Shi said, "I'm willing to suffer 100 times if I can get my sweetheart back in my heart." Jiang Mai, that's what you get for saying. You've suffered so many losses. Why did you still mention this to me? Jiang Mai and Ning Shi were talking. When they passed by Lu Tingxiao's office, Lu Tingxiao seemed to have something to do a few steps behind them. He pushed the door open and happened to hear their conversation. His pair of cold eyes instantly lit up like the sun. The moment Jiang Mai and Ning Shi stepped into the advertising department, they saw several people sitting in the office. There were two men sitting on the leather sofa opposite them, one on the south and the other on the north. Qin Ran was in a classic sportswear, and Han Yunqing was listening to music with headphones on. Both of them were extraordinarily handsome, full-fledged beauties. They used to be the main force of the popular boy group T, but later they fell out after going solo. Both of them took the route of little fresh meat and had always been in a competitive relationship. Looking at the atmosphere, it seemed that their relationship was as tense as the rumors said. On the wooden chair by the window, a handsome man in a white shirt was holding a book in his hand and reading attentively. He was Luo Fan from Starlight Entertainment. The last one was Li Lekai from Fashion Entertainment. He was wearing a leather jacket, chewing gum, and had hair gel on his head. He was an arrogant and crazy man. Tut tut tut. At the door, Ning Shi couldn't help but sigh when she saw the scene in the office. What a feast of beauties. In the entire Hua nation, perhaps only the Lu group had such influence to gather such a few people. In terms of popularity, Ning Shi had just become famous a few days ago, while the people sitting here, including Jiang Mai, had been famous for a long time. Each of them was powerful in the entertainment industry and had a large number of die-hard fans who would go through hell and high water for them. However, Qin Ran, Han Yunqing, Luo Fan, Li Lekai. 1, 2, 3, 4, including her and Jiang Mai, there were only 6 of them. Ning Shi Mai, you're here too. Please take a seat. Wait a moment, we'll start when Emo Qinxiu arrives. Yi Ying politely greeted the two of them. As soon as Yi Ying finished her words, Ning Shi's expression suddenly froze. Fuck. Emo Qinxiu. Did she hear wrongly just now? Ning Xiaoxi, what's with your expression? After finding a place to sit down, Jiang Mai couldn't help but ask when he noticed Ning Shi's strange expression. Ning Shi pinched the space between her eyebrows, feeling a headache coming on. Her dark face looked like she had just fucked a dog. Jiang Mai frowned and said, "Do you know Emo Qinxiu? What's the entanglement between you two that makes you look like this?" Ning Shi took a deep look at Jiang Mai. Jiang Mai's hair stood on end. "I'm asking you a question. Why are you looking at me?" Ning Shi put on an expression that said, "Well, we've got some entanglements in the past. My situation with Emo Qinxiu is probably similar to yours and mine." Jiang Mai's eyes immediately widened. "Fuck. Emo Qinxiu is your ex-boyfriend?" Chapter 1285. Ning Shi crossed her legs and rested her chin on her hands, looking hopeless. Damn it. She wondered why God would be so kind to let her live such a smooth and easy life. Sure enough, her love affair had come again. Jiang Mai's eyes widened like light bulbs. But after a while he thought about Emo Qinxiu's reputation and realized that it was not strange. Jiang Mai pinched his eyebrows and said angrily in a low voice, "You really think you're the guardian of girls? You've been enforcing justice on behalf of God, but you've caused yourself so much trouble. Let's see how you deal with it later. Not everyone is as easy to deal with as me." Ning Shi sighed. She had been living like a walking dead. What was there to be afraid of? Naturally, she did whatever she wanted. She had never thought that this day would come. Jiang Mai's heart softened when he saw her sigh and worry. He asked worriedly, "Have you seen a psychiatrist since you came back? It's okay when you were abroad. No one knows about you. You won't act up again after coming back, will you?" Jiang Mai asked seriously. Ning Shi shook her head and looked like she was recalling something. "Dr. Smith told me that I had recovered from the moment I decided to come back." Hearing that, Jiang Mai's face softened a little. He somewhat understood what Dr. Smith meant. For Ning Shi, having a goal and motivation to live was like getting a new life. Later, I was in a bad mood and went to the nightclub to beat up some scumbags. But that was before I became famous, so it didn't affect me much, Ning Shi said. Jiang Mai thought for a while and felt that he had asked too much. Now that she had Lu Tingxiao as her psychiatrist, she was living a good life. Why would she need a doctor? Speaking of this, Jiang Mai suddenly stuck his butt in front of Ningxi and said with a bright face, "What's going on between you and Emo Qinxiu? Tell me." If Emo Qinxiu was worse off than him, he would be comforted. Ningxi patted Jiang Mai's hand as if she was patting dust. Men and women shouldn't touch each other. Be careful. Jiang Mai glanced at the others who were doing their own things. Be careful, my ass. Look who here treats you as a woman. Ningxi, well, when everyone saw her arm around Jiang Mai's shoulder, they were all extremely calm. No one felt that there was anything wrong. Tell me quickly. Jiang Mai urged anxiously. The corners of Ningxi's mouth twitched. If you keep being so gossipy, you'll catch up to your second uncle. At the same time, Lu Tingxiao's office. Lu Jingli rushed in like a gust of wind. Brother. His wife was almost gone. Why are you still sitting here? It was a very familiar line. Lu Tingxiao lifted his head from the pile of documents and glanced at Lu Jingli. Then he went back to his work with a carefree expression. It was the calmness of the legal wife. Moreover, his wife had just stuffed a sweet candy into his mouth. Lu Jingli acted as if the emperor was not anxious, but the eunuch was anxious to death. Hey brother. Don't ignore me. This time it was really serious. Level 1 alert. No special class. 6. Little Cece will have to work with 6 handsome men who are as beautiful as flowers and jade. Lu Tingxiao still did not respond. Lu Jingli was anxious. Little Cece's ex-boyfriends are all over the entertainment circle. What if one of the 6 men is her? Oh no, there's already Jiang Mai. What if there's another one? Continue writing, please wait a moment. Chapter 1286. In the advertising department, Jiang Mai urged Ningxi for a long time, but Ningxi refused to say anything. She just smiled and enjoyed Jiang Mai's anxious look. Not far away, Li Lekai, who was bored of staying alone, walked up to Luo Fan while chewing gum. He looked in the direction of Jiang Mai and Ningxi and said, "Hey Luo Fan, what do you think is the relationship between them?" Luo Fan put down the book in his hand and looked at Qin Haodong. They're good friends. After all, they are in the same company and they are fellow students. Luo Fan had no background. The most important reason he could make it in this circle was that he had a high EQ, knew how to behave and acted cautiously. Naturally, he gave a watertight answer to this kind of question. Li Lekai curled his lips. He thought Luo Fan was too hypocritical and boring, so he went to find Qin Ran. As time went by, Emo Qinxiu still hadn't arrived. The people in the room began to look impatient. It was always others who waited for them. There was no reason for them to wait. Was Emo Qinxiu taking advantage of his fame? He just won an award in Spain. It's not one of the 4 major international film festivals. What's there to be proud of? No matter how popular he is, his rotten private life has worn away most of his popularity. Li Lekai had a belly full of anger from waiting, so he had no scruples when he started to complain. Qin Ran and Han Yunqing were getting impatient. If it wasn't for the fact that the Lu group had invited them, they would have left already. Except for Jiang Mai, who kept trying to pry information from Ningxi, Luo Fan was the only one in the room who was calm from beginning to end. I'm really sorry. Please wait for a moment. Qinxiu must have been delayed by something. I'll call him and ask him again. During this time, Ying had been patiently comforting them and speaking for Emo Qinxiu. She was very gentle and polite. Yes, Ying was Emo Qinxiu's diehard fan. Although I don't want to admit it, Emo Qinxiu's skills are higher than mine. How did you deal with him? At this time, Jiang Mai, who was scratching his head curiously, suddenly thought of a question. That's not right. That guy is very vengeful. You have been in the entertainment circle for so long, but he hasn't made trouble for you. Maybe he didn't recognize you? He didn't recognize me in women's clothes, Ningxi answered. Then what are you worried about? Jiang Mai was speechless. Ningxi looked at Jiang Mai as if he was an idiot. But he can recognize my men's clothes. Jiang Mai was a little confused. The more he listened, the more confused he became. What do you mean? Ningxi had enough suspense. Finally, she said quietly, "Are you an idiot? What I meant was that I was dressing as a man to mess with him." Fuck me. Jiang Mai exclaimed. When he saw the others looking at him, he lowered his voice and said, "Damn it. Did you turn him gay by pretending to be a man?" Ningxi shrugged. It seems so. Jiang Mai said with a sorrowful expression, Too cruel. You're too ruthless. It turned out that Ningxi's move against him was still considered light. It turned out that there was an existence even more miserable than him. Jiang Mai had been suffering for so many years. At this moment, he felt as if he had been redeemed. Then wouldn't you die a horrible death? Jiang Mai suddenly said. This hatred. It was so great. Of course. Otherwise, why do you think I'm worried? Ningxi said with an expression that said, of course, it's a tricky situation that makes me worrying. Chapter 1287. Jiang Mai had a look of amazement on his face. He couldn't help but admire her. You're all so awesome. I'm convinced. Ningxi touched her chin. Emo Chinxiu is the one who has received the highest treatment from me. I can't help it. He's such a jerk. Jiang Mai was a jerk. He had been influenced by the environment since he was a child. He was too popular and easy to get, but he didn't know how to cherish it. He changed women quickly and didn't care. In his mind, there was no such thing as faithful. But at least he didn't cheat on her during their relationship. But Emo Chinxiu was different. That guy had no moral bottom line or even ethics. Cheating was a common occurrence and he took pleasure in a girl's pain. He especially liked those innocent girls who were ignorant of the ways of the world. With his good looks, who knew how many girls he had harmed? A girl who tried to commit suicide for him would go around the capital. He was simply insane. Not to mention bending him, even breaking him would be considered a light punishment. Jiang Mai was in a good mood. Tut tut, I thought I was the one who got the highest treatment. Now do you know how gentle I am to you? I know. Hey, why hasn't Emo Chinxiu come yet? I'm looking forward to his expression when he sees you. Jiang Mai said excitedly. Speak of the devil. With a squeak, Ying pushed the door open and came in. Her face was flushed, and a tall and slender man followed behind her. The man was wearing a custom-made Armani suit and a pair of big sunglasses. His hair was flaxen, and the obsidian earrings on his ears glowed with a cold luster. After taking off the sunglasses, a very handsome face with a hint of mixed race was revealed. The moment he took off the sunglasses, the man seemed to be looking for someone. His eyes quickly swept around the room like a sharp knife. 3 seconds later, he fixed his eyes on the man beside Jiang Mai. His face was extremely ugly, as if he was going to pounce on that person and strangle that person at any time. This reaction was not much different from what Ningxi had expected. After receiving the man's gaze, Ningxi raised the corner of her mouth with a smile. She looked like a wolf with a big tail, which made the man lose control and almost rush over. Fortunately, his last shred of reason allowed him to restrain his emotions. After all, if he were to make a scene here, wouldn't the embarrassing fact that he had been turned gay be known by others? Ningxi probably relied on this point to be fearless. Although this matter was indeed tricky, she would not be afraid of anyone except her sweetheart. After Emo Chinxiu took off his sunglasses, Ying, who was next to him, stared at his face in a daze. She almost forgot to speak. After a long while, she came back to her senses and said, Sorry to keep everyone waiting. Chinxiu was late because there was a traffic jam. Let's go to the location of the audition. Jiang Mai couldn't help feeling disappointed that Emo Chinxiu couldn't bear to watch the show. He yawned lazily and stood up. Qin Ran, Han Yunqing and Luo Fan also stood up. There's a traffic jam at this time. Who are you trying to fool? The others chose to keep the peace, but Li Lekai wasn't so easily fooled. Well, Ying looked a little embarrassed. Director Yi, I came here because I believe in your company. Now you've invited this guy with such a bad character and bad reputation to shoot an advertisement with us. Haven't you thought about it? If it's light, it will affect our reputation. If it's heavy, it will ruin the reputation of your Lu group. Li Lekai said fiercely. As soon as Li Lekai finished speaking, the atmosphere in the room became a little awkward. Ying was about to smooth things over when she heard Emo Chinxiu's indifferent tone. He said quietly, Tut Li Lekai, I just slept with your woman. Why do you still hate me? Chapter 1288. Everyone at the scene was dumbfounded, and their faces were filled with bewilderment. Because it happened a long time ago, not many people knew about it. Of course, Li Lekai couldn't tell anyone that he had been cuckolded. Who would have thought that Emo Chinxiu would say it in such a tone and attitude? Only Emo Chinxiu would do something like flirting with someone else's woman and provoking them with a nonchalant expression on his face. The next second, a figure flashed by. Li Lekai dashed over and threw a punch. Emo Chinxiu dodged the punch and threw his sunglasses at Qin Haodong. His eyes flashed with excitement. It was obvious that he was a man who wanted to stir up trouble. The two of them fought back and forth until the sky was dark. The scene suddenly became a mess. Ying was so anxious that she kept trying to persuade them, but it was useless. The tricky thing was that she couldn't call security to prevent the matter from getting out. Not far away, Jiangmai was speechless. Shouldn't you and Mo Qinxiu be the ones who should be fighting? Why did it become Li Lekai? This wasn't going according to the script at all. Ningxi sighed as she watched the show. God is on the side of the righteous. I didn't expect this to happen. Qinran was surprised. Han Yunqing, who hadn't talked to Qinran since they came in, couldn't help but say, "What's so strange about it? Mo Qinxiu has cheated on many people in the entertainment industry. It's just a matter of whether he cheated on them or not." Qinran chuckled and looked over. "You know it so well. Have you been cheated on too?" "Get lost." Han Yunqing glared at him. "But Mo Qinxiu has been quiet for the past few years. Come to think of it, it was 3 years ago that he suddenly turned over a new leaf. Not only did he sever all relationships with women, but he even stopped getting close to women. He walked the path of abstinence. Because of his repentance and good attitude, he regained his popularity," Qinran analyzed. "Maybe it's because of the pressure from the company. He's just pretending. Who knows what he's like in private?" Han Yunqing snorted. "That's true. Stop fighting. Qinxiu Lekai. Both of you stop fighting. If there's anything we can talk about it." Yi Ying anxiously persuaded, but even she herself felt that her words were a little untenable. Yi Ying looked at the two of them in fear. She was afraid that they would get hurt, especially their faces. Otherwise, the commercial shooting plan would be put on hold. She had single-handedly been in charge of this extremely important advertisement, but she did not expect it to end up like this. Yi Ying was so anxious that she was about to cry. Unable to persuade him, she finally called the security guards over. "Hee, that woman is like a dead fish in bed. I didn't expect you to like this kind of boring type." Mo Qinxiu did not forget to provoke him as he fought. In the next second, Yi Ying's face was full of panic as she exclaimed, "Ah! Don't." Both of them knew that they couldn't hurt Mo Qinxiu's face, so they still had a trace of rationality when they fought. However, Mo Qinxiu was asking for it. Li Lekai's fist immediately swung heavily towards Mo Qinxiu's face. At the same time, Mo Qinxiu naturally did not want to be outdone and attacked his opponent's eyes. "Ah!" Yi Ying closed her eyes in despair. A gust of wind flashed in front of her with a swoosh. When she opened her eyes, she saw that the scene she expected did not happen. Ningxi was quite far away just now. She didn't know how she got there, but she firmly separated the two of them with one move. Chapter 1289. One had to know that when two big men fought in a state of anger, the strength would definitely not be light. If one tried to stop the fight at this time, there was an 80% chance that they would be affected. Therefore, Qinran, Han Yunqing, and Luo Fan did not want to intervene. Instead, they stayed far away. What a joke. Did they know how much insurance they had bought for their bodies? Even the slightest delay in work and time was money. If they rushed over and got punched in the face, who would be responsible for it? When Mo Qinxiu and Li Lekai's fists were about to hit each other, Ningxi blocked Li Lekai's wrist with one hand and firmly held Mo Qinxiu's fist with the other. The two of them were shaken away. Mo Qinxiu's fist, which was held by Ningxi, suddenly shrank back as if he had been electrocuted. His face was extremely ugly, and he suddenly lost interest in fighting with Li Lekai. Li Lekai, however, was not willing to let it go. As soon as he was pushed away, he threw himself at Mo Qinxiu with bloodshot eyes. Ningxi directly blocked Li Lekai's right shoulder and said in his ear, "If there's anything, you two can find a place to settle it. Why do you have to make things difficult for a girl?" Li Lekai looked at Yi Ying, whose eyes were red with anxiety. He clenched his fist hard and put it down. Yi Ying was actually a shiver. She liked Mo Qinxiu's naughtiness. However, when Ningxi appeared between the two of them like the wind and said those words, Yi Ying's outlook on life was somewhat subverted. She seemed to have fallen in love with someone else. When so many female employees in the company were so infatuated with Ningxi, she did not waver. She thought that no matter how well she played the role of a man in the movie, she was still a girl. But now, this boyfriend power was simply amazing. Not far away, Jiang Mai looked at Yi Ying's sparkling eyes and was speechless. Well, he had gained another fan in such a short time. Mo Qinxiu was still staring at the hand that Ningxi had just touched. His expression was strange and no one knew what he was thinking. Li Lekai probably thought of the importance of this advertisement and had calmed down a little. The conflict between the two of them was finally temporarily suppressed. Ying quickly diverted their attention and led them to the multi-purpose room for the audition. Qin Ran stood up and murmured to himself, I didn't expect Imo Qinxiu and Li Lekai to have such an explosive secret. When Qin Ran said that, he would never have guessed that the secret between Imo Qinxiu and Ningxi was the real deal. When the group of people passed by the staff area, they saw such a rare gathering of beauties in the entertainment industry. If it weren't for their boss suppressing them, they would have gone crazy. Soon they arrived at the audition venue. The so-called audition was just a formality. They had to audition for the roles they were going to play in front of the director of the commercial. The director was the most famous advertising director in the country, Mai Huayan. Even people like them had to be polite when they saw him. Director, everyone is here, Ying said. At this time, Mai Huayan had just prepared the props and equipment. Seeing this, he looked at the 7 people behind Ying with an excited expression. Obviously, they were also very interested in this film. Hello, Director Mai. How was the purple clay teapot from last time? Luo Fan took the initiative to greet him. Chapter 1290. The director immediately grinned from ear to ear. Not bad, not bad. It's a work of art, especially the carvings on the body of the pot. It's amazing. Even I can't bear to use it. I didn't expect you to have such a skill. It sounded like Luo Fan had given him a handmade purple clay pot. It was obvious that he knew Mai Huai liked it. The others also went over to greet the director one by one. Seeing Luo Fan being so successful, they couldn't help but feel a little disdainful. However, it was undeniable that this guy was really good at this. Even a professional manager couldn't compare to him. It was said that he was in charge of his activities, work arrangements, and a series of other things. Just then, Han Yunqing looked around and suddenly asked, Why don't I see the female lead? Qin Ran smiled. Director Yi, don't tell me you still want to keep it a secret? Ying replied with a smile, No, the female lead is already here today. She's here? Why don't I see her? Director Yi, does the female lead you found know how to turn invisible? Qin Ran looked around and teased. Ying laughed. She doesn't know how to turn invisible, but she can transform. Qin Ran was puzzled. What do you mean? Luo Fan reacted quickly. His eyes flashed and he said, Could the female lead be Ningxi? As soon as he said that, everyone, including Luo Fan, looked in Ningxi's direction. Ningxi blinked innocently. Me? Ying nodded affirmatively. That's right. Actually, we were going to hire another female lead, but on the last day of our group meeting, we always thought that Miss Ning was more suitable. Hearing this, Ningxi thought for a while and felt that the idea of her playing 2 roles was indeed quite interesting. As for the others, although they were a little surprised, they didn't have any objections. They didn't have any relationship with a female artist like Ningxi. Although it was easy to forget that she was a woman, this was a good opportunity. Ningxi didn't try to be modest. Thank you, Director Yi, for thinking so highly of me. I'll try my best to act well. I've seen your Dream Seeker. It's really good. You don't feel any pressure dressing up as a man or a woman. I believe you can do it, Brother Shi. Yi Ying's tone became much more intimate with Ningxi, and she even talked about the plot of the play with Ningxi. Jiang Mai had long been accustomed to this scene. However, from the corner of his eye, he noticed that Imo Qinxiu was looking at Ningxi and Yi Ying chatting happily with each other. Jiang Mai was too familiar with that look. This guy was actually jealous? Fuck. After being abused like this guy still liked Ningxi? This was indeed a ruthless move. Thinking of this, Jiang Mai had an inexplicable feeling that they were in the same boat, at the same time in the president's office. Lu Jingli pestered Lu Tingxiao for a long time, but Lu Tingxiao remained as still as a rock. He was so anxious that he scratched his ears and cheeks. Do you know who the female lead of this commercial is? Was Little Cece. In the film, Little Cece has to date 6 gorgeous male actors. Lu Tingxiao put down the pen in his hand and stood up. Seeing this, Lu Jingli was overjoyed. Brother, is it because you finally understand the seriousness of the matter? I didn't waste half an hour trying to persuade you. Lu Tingxiao glanced at the happy Lu Jingli and said expressionlessly, Because you are too noisy. Lu Jingli. Chapter 1291. In the audition room. The director was assigning roles to everyone. The main content of this commercial was the story of the female lead being pursued by 7 different types of handsome men. Many popular VVs had similar plots, but Lu Enterprises had hired these 7 people to bring the plot to the extreme. The main purpose of this commercial was to satisfy the fantasies of young women and expand the brand's influence and attractiveness among this group of customers. In terms of purchasing power, women were definitely the main force at the moment. The director took the script and glanced at everyone. Well, Qin Ran, you'll play the rich young master. No problem. Qin Ran agreed without hesitation. He seemed to be quite satisfied with the assignment. Han Yunqing, you look the most tender and young. You'll play the student and become the most popular school hunk. Han Yunqing nodded. Okay. The director looked at Luo Fan, who was smiling. Luo Fan, you'll play the professor from the School of Biological Sciences. Luo Fan, you're so knowledgeable and talented. You're acting as yourself. Luo Fan looked humble. You flatter me, director. The director then looked at Li Lekai, who looked annoyed, and Jiang Mai, who looked bored. Li Lekai, you're an unruly racer, and Mai, you're even more true to yourself. You're a superstar. Li Lekai and Jiang Mai nodded and didn't have any objections. Then only Emo Qinxiu and Ning Shi were left. Mai whined and flipped another page of the script and looked at Ning Shi, his face full of praise. Ning Shi, I've long heard Director Guo praise you in front of me. He said you're very dedicated and skilled. It's not easy for a girl to get to where she is today as a martial arts double. Director Guo is exaggerating. It's my job, Ning Shi said. Mai whined and nodded with satisfaction and said, your role is the mysterious agent. There's a very important fight scene. Is that okay? No problem. Ning Shi nodded, looking like she wasn't picky. Finally, the director looked at Emo Qinxiu. Qinxiu, your role is that of a mature, steady, and abstinent president. Many young girls nowadays like this kind of. Emo Qinxiu had taken this route after his career transition. After much consideration, Mai Huayan felt that this arrangement was the most suitable. Just as he was about to let them audition, Emo Qinxiu's gaze swept towards Ning Shi like a knife. He suddenly said, I want Ning Shi's role. As soon as he said that, not only the director but everyone else was stunned as well. Jiang Mai, who was bored to death, suddenly straightened his back. TSK. What should come has finally come. The others were a little confused. They had all thought that Emo Qinxiu would cause trouble for Li Lekai. They hadn't expected him to suddenly target Ning Shi. Was it because Ning Shi stopped them just now? Mai Huayan suddenly felt a headache coming on. Although Emo Qinxiu's reputation had improved in recent years, his personality had worsened. His temperament was unpredictable in private, and he was very irritable. It wasn't the first time he had clashed with the staff. Mai Huayan could only try his best to persuade him tactfully. Qinxiu, the role I arranged for you is the most suitable for you. Ning Shi's role is almost always about fighting and escaping. If you don't have a professional martial arts foundation, you can easily get hurt. Emo Qinxiu didn't know if he had heard it or not. He said quietly, since the director doesn't believe me, then let me fight with Ning Shi. Whoever wins gets the role. Without waiting for the director to speak, he directly attacked Ning Shi. Chapter 1292. The flexibility of Ning Shi's body was simply astonishing. Her entire body jerked backwards and dodged Emo Qinxiu's attack. Emo Qinxiu's attack did not diminish and continued to follow up. Ning Shi seemed to not want to be entangled with him and kept on defending. Looking at the two people fighting, everyone at the scene was dumbfounded. Emo Qinxiu was deliberately picking a fight, wasn't he? What was going on? Qin Ran touched his chin. Well, did Ning Shi get cuckolded by Emo Qinxiu like Li Lekai? Han Yunqing rolled his eyes. If that's the case, it should be Ning Shi picking a fight with Emo Qinxiu. Besides, Ning Shi is a woman. Qin Ran nodded. I almost forgot. Could it be that Emo Qinxiu, the 1,000-year-old demon, had his woman stolen by Ning Shi? After all, Ning Shi's men's clothes were quite popular with girls. Han Yunqing looked at him as if he was an idiot. Do you think Emo Qinxiu will care about his woman being stolen? Qin Ran shook his head. No. Not only did this guy have no moral integrity, but he also didn't expect the woman he was with to have moral integrity. He didn't care who you slept with. Not only Qin Ran, but Li Lekai was also suspicious. He hoped that Emo Qinxiu would be beaten up, but Ning Shi was a woman after all. She was not as strong as a man. It wasn't easy for her to defend herself. Mai Huayan didn't expect Emo Qinxiu to start fighting without saying a word. He was stunned. Hey Chinxiu. Mingxi. Stop. We can discuss the roles. You don't have to do this. However, Emo Chinxiu couldn't hear him at all. Seeing Ningxi defending but not fighting, Emo Chinxiu was getting angrier and fiercer. If Emo Chinxiu was just teasing and provoking Li Likai when he was fighting, then he was really angry now. His expression made it seem like he had a blood feud with Ningxi. It was no wonder that Qin Ran and the others would think otherwise. Ying didn't expect her idol to cause trouble again. She wanted to cry but had no tears. Ningxi had stopped him just now, but what should she do now? The others were also worried that Ningxi would be hurt by this lunatic. Only Jiang Mai was sitting there with his legs crossed, watching the show calmly. The only thing missing was a handful of melon seeds in his hands. Ningxi blocked Emo Chinxiu's attack and whispered in his ear, "Once the audition is over, I'll play with you till the end." Emo Chinxiu turned a deaf ear, obviously unwilling to wait. If he had waited until the end of the audition, this would not have happened. Bah. While the two of them were fighting, they knocked over some props and made a loud noise. Ningxi's eyebrows twitched. She couldn't take it anymore. She suddenly switched from defense to offense and charged forward. Seeing that Ningxi had finally made her move, the look in Emo Chinxiu's eyes suddenly became even crazier. After Ningxi started to attack, the looks of the others changed. Qin Ran's eyes widened. Holy shit. This woman's skills are really good. Han Yunqing and even Luo Fan were a little excited as they watched. Men all like this kind of hot-blooded scene. However, when he remembered that the other party was a woman, he couldn't help but feel a little ashamed of himself. Just when everyone's gazes fell on Ningxi and Emo Chinxiu, who were fighting more and more intensely, the sound of footsteps came from behind them one after another. Ying was the first to notice. Her face suddenly turned pale. Boss Lu. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.